The hot boy classmate's family went bankrupt. Seeing him being mocked and ridiculed by everyone, I mustered all my courage to slip 20,000 yuan into his hand, money that I had painstakingly saved up over many years. Only later did I find out that his family was actually restructuring their assets in preparation to take their company public on the stock exchange. Oh, Shen Hao, wait up, I called out, gathering all my courage as I ran over and stood in front of him. Shen Hao lowered his head, his handsome face bright yet full of displeasure. His family had gone bankrupt. During the recent class reunion, everyone made snide remarks at him, especially the guys who had always followed him around before. Now, knowing that his family had collapsed was like a chance to vent all old grievances. I looked at the young man who was shining arrogantly like the sun, now fallen to the ground. Many were unsatisfied, wanting to trample him further until he was covered in mud. The girls who once liked Shen Hao now avoided him as if he were that omen. Seeing Shen Hao's tall, resilient figure before me, I felt a pang of sadness. He must be very heartbroken. I heard that their house had been sealed. The whole family might soon be forced to wander homeless on the street. I took a bank card out of my jacket pocket and pressed it into his hand. His hand was dry and warm. The brief touch of our fingertips made my face flush uncontrollably. "What's this?" I asked. Shen Hao pulled back his displeased expression and looked at me with surprise. "This is 20,000 yuan. The card's password is 123,456. It's not much, but it's my little token of goodwill. Shen Hao, I believe you'll definitely overcome this difficulty." His gaze was full of astonishment mixed with suspicion, confusion, and a hint of daze. I took a deep breath and stepped forward to hug him. I heard that when one is sad, a comforting hug can bring great solace. One arm wrapped around his waist, the other gently patted his back. "It's okay. Any hardship will eventually pass." Shen Hao seemed tense, his muscles stiffened, and he didn't move. I rested my head on his chest and continued encouraging him. "When I was in high school, my family also went bankrupt. We moved from a villa to the suburbs. The whole family cramped in a house smaller than my old bathroom. Being in a smaller space brought us closer. My parents used to argue a lot now. Without money, their relationship has become much better. If you ever face hardship, you can reach out to me. Though I don't have much money, I will do my best to help you." I looked up, gazing firmly into his eyes. "Because I once stood in the rain, I want to open an umbrella for you." Shen Hao lazily looked at me with his head lowered. He was always arrogant, carefree, and cold before, but today he looked somewhat innocent. That only broke my heart more. Looking at him, I saw my former self. I tiptoed and gently ruffled his hair. His hair was so soft, with strands as thin and delicate as Richie, ever the teddy bear my family once had. "Shen Hao, stay strong." I smiled brightly at him. But Shen Hao's consented slightly. His fair and delicate face faintly flushed, like a radiant sunset touched by a sympathetic pearl. He probably felt a bit uncomfortable, I thought, so I quickly waved goodbye and turned to leave hastily. Graduation is coming soon. I need to hurry and find a job with a decent salary. Back in the dormitory, my roommates were talking about Shen Hao. Seriously unlucky. I've chased after him for 4 whole years. 4 years. I thought after graduation I'd marry him and become a queen. But turns out his family went bankrupt. My roommate, Lan, a beautiful girl with an alluring figure, had stuck to Shen Hao all through college, confident she could win him over. Though Shen Hao had no money now, he was still handsome, so I couldn't help but butt in. Lan glared at me. "Canola, wake up. Love without money is like a pile of sand. One gust of wind and it scatters. Much rich heirs like Shen Hao can't shoulder anything without wealth. Without the glow of a wealthy young master, he probably can't even support himself." I said nothing more. I still thought Shen Hao wasn't as bad as they said. Though his appearance was somewhat arrogant and carefree, he was actually a very good person. He had helped me before, in my sophomore year during winter break. I worked as a receptionist at a high-end restaurant. I had to wear a thin chingsan and stand outside greeting guests. After just a while, I was freezing. Shen Hao came to dine with his family and saw me. A little later, he left the dining room and handed me a hand warmer. That was one of the rare moments that gave me warmth during that bitter winter. I patted my face lightly and kept sending out job applications. 1 month to graduation. Still no job, no place to live. since my family went bankrupt, though conditions weren't great. I felt happy. Dad wasn't like before, gone all day, not seen at home. Mom was no longer around, always out playing and gambling. Now the whole family worked hard to make money. We'd moved from the outskirts to an old apartment complex in the southern part of the city. The house wasn't big, just a two-bedroom apartment, but we had become the most ordinary little family of three. Thinking of my parents nearby in the city filled me with motivation. Have you found a job yet? While sending my application, I received a WeChat message from Shanhao. He even sent me a recruitment link from a very famous company here. The welfare was excellent, but the competition fierce. This company's great. You should try applying. Shanhao was truly kind-hearted. Even struggling himself, he sent me good job opportunities. I was touched but hesitant because the company's requirements were very high. My chances seemed almost zero. But since it was a job Shanhao recommended, I decided to apply anyway. Congratulations, Miss Ton. You've been hired. How soon can you start? The glowing face of her manager made me feel the world was magical. A monthly salary in the thousands, weekends off, and even an 8-month bonus. I'd only applied for a marketing assistant position. How did I get such generous benefits? After signing the contract, her manager handed me a confidentiality agreement saying employee salaries were top secret and must not be shared. I left the company in a daze, feeling as if a piece of cake had just fallen from the sky. Before I finished savoring it, the real estate agent called, telling me about a perfect apartment. The landlord was very demanding, which meant a very cheap rent. Seeing a 2-bedroom, 1-living-room apartment tastefully decorated, I widened my eyes and asked the agent, "How much?" 2,000 yuan a month, including management fees. Something felt off about this place. A deal too good to be true probably had a catch. In this area, a place furnished like this usually cost at least 6,000 yuan monthly. Honestly, why is it so cheap? I asked. The agent hesitated, then solemnly revealed, during renovation, a worker tragically fell from the balcony and died on the spot. The landlord feels it's unlucky and wants to rent it out to someone to keep the house. It's okay. If the neighbors don't mind me being poor, why would I mind bad luck? So I signed the contract without worry. It felt like I had solved 2 major problems in life. This place was close to the company and there was a subway station right at the apartment's gate. Just 2 steps to the office. After years of being beaten down by fate, finally fortune began to smile upon me. On my first day at work, I met my direct superior Han-Ming, marketing director. Han-Ming was my neighbor back in high school. 4 years older. When I was in high school, he was in college. He was my silent first love in youth. Back then, our families joked about letting us marry after I finished university. Later, after my family ran into trouble, his family immediately distanced themselves. Fearing my father would borrow money, Han-Ming blamed me and then we cut off contact. 8 years passed. His youthful carefrees matured into calm sophistication. His gold-rimmed glasses added charm. Coincidentally, when he extended his hand, I bowed in greeting. "Han, from now on, I'm your assistant. Please take care of me." Han-Ming smiled gracefully. "Years have passed. You haven't changed at all. Let's go. I'll show you around the company." I followed him, hiding all my feelings deep inside. At the meeting table, Han-Ming pointed at my pen. "Assistant Ton, can I borrow your pen?" When I handed it over, his fingers brushed the back of my hand and squeezed gently. I felt warmth from his touch. Looking up, I met Han-Ming's meaningful gaze. Does he suspect I still like him? That fluttery, fragile feeling from adolescence was thinner than paper once let tug and it would tear. Now I only wanted to focus on earning money to give my family a better life. But after work at the company gate, I saw a tall, straight figure from afar. It was Shanhao. "Shanhao, what are you doing here?" I ran happily toward him. "Thanks to you, I got such a good job. I just happened to pass by." Shanhao tried to look indifferent, but his ears turned red. His ears flashed despite his calm demeanor. Thanks for recommending the job. Have you eaten yet? Let me treat you." He glanced at me and nodded without much care. "Sure, I have time anyway." Beep beep. At that moment, a bomb zipped past us. The window rolled down. Han-Ming smiled and waved. Then Nana, "Where are you? I'll take you home." "Thank you, Han, but I have plans to eat out with a friend." "No trouble." Han-Ming's gaze made me uncomfortable. I grabbed Shen Hao's hand and turned to leave. Shen Hao's face was cold. Ever since the family was sealed off, now your parents have to leave too. You must be going through a lot. Remembering my empty two-bedroom apartment, I tentatively asked, "My place has a spare room. Do you want to move in with me?" Shen Hao hesitated, as full of worry. "Isn't it inconvenient?" I smiled reassuringly. "No, the place has 2 rooms anyway. I was planning to find a roommate. You'd be perfect." At the mention of roommate, his eyes darkened briefly. "Really? So tonight I have nowhere to stay." Seeing his troubled expression, sorrow welled in my heart. He used to be a big spender surrounded by friends, the center of attention. Now he had to depend on someone else to live. Let's go," I said. We went to the supermarket and I took him to buy daily necessities. I quietly resolved to treat Shen Hao well, so he'd know this world wasn't all coldness and indifference. When he fell to the depths of scorn, contempt, and neglect, someone would still courageously stand by him with strength and companionship. After buying toothbrushes, towels, toiletries, we continued to buy blankets, duvet covers, pajamas, slippers, and all household essentials. Shen Hao excitedly picked out shampoo and facial cleanser, not at all defeated. He really was a very good person. Better than I'd imagined. He probably had never heard of these shampoo or facial cleanser brands before today. Despite his hardship, he didn't blame himself. That only made me admire Shen Hao more. Recalling when my family went broke. From buying clothes worth thousands to cheap 10 yuan items at the market, I was sad for a long time, hiding in my room to cry, feeling my life had transformed like those clothes from luxury to cheap streetwear. Then Nana, what color indoor slippers do you have? White. I'll take white too. Shen Hao happily held a pair of discounted plastic slippers priced at 9.99 yuan, his face glowing with vitality. Normal people shopping for branded goods probably feel this happy, huh? I couldn't help but laugh. Welcome to my world. After Shen Hao tidied up and finished arranging his things, it was late. He curled up on the sofa, his stomach suddenly growling. His face was slightly flushed, pretending cool as he looked at me. "Haven't eaten enough tonight?" I laughed. So this cold, arrogant coach Shen Hao from everyone's impression could blush like this? Wait a moment. I'll cook you a bowl of noodles. I turned toward the kitchen. The kitchen had a floor-to-ceiling glass door like a mirror reflecting shadows. I thought I saw Shen Hao excitedly waving a hand. He probably was just swatting a mosquito. I must have imagined it. There was some leftover stewed beef in the fridge, so I sliced it, stir-fried it fragrant, and added a sunny-side-up egg. A simple bowl of stewed beef noodles was quickly made. Shen Hao sat at the table, staring blankly at the bowl, not eating, only absently watching the rising steam. His handsome face beneath the misty vapor looked like a dream. Seeing him sitting still, I urged, "What's wrong? Eat before it gets cold." Through the rising steam, Shen Hao looked up and stared at me. Under that gaze, my face grew hot and flushed. My eyes also started to look away. Why does he keep staring at me like that? It's so embarrassing. Bite by bite, Shen Hao carefully ate the noodles. His serious expression was almost reverent, as if he was not eating cheap supermarket noodles but a gourmet meal at Michael's restaurant. I looked blankly at Shen Hao. The room was cold and desolate, became warm and vibrant because of him. Peace is just like this, isn't it? The next morning when I got up to go to work, Shen Hao's store was still closed. I made a simple breakfast sandwiches and poured milk on the table, then hurried off. Having someone accompany you makes even busy days a little joyful. I texted him with a goofy smile on my lips. "Remember to eat when you wake up." I suddenly realized that message sounded like a wife texting her husband, seated at my desk after attendance. My face was still flushed, making humming suspicious as he glanced at me several times. The marketing department's work was endless daily reports and plans. I was so busy I barely touched my phone. Only after work did I see a message from Shen Hao. "I found a job. After work. Are you free for dinner?" "After work? I'm waiting for you downstairs." I packed up, getting ready to leave, when Humming came over and lightly tapped the desk. "Let's go. I'll treat you. I'll also tell you a few company pointers." "I already have plans," I said. Humming straightened his collar, displeased. "Assistant Tom, this is the second time you've refused your boss's invitation. What's going on? Do you have a boyfriend now? He bent toward me, his phoenix eyes showed obvious displeasure. I put my documents in the drawer and stood. I'm sorry. I already have plans with a friend today. Maybe some other time. Hamming's frank blonde gaze made me very uncomfortable. This job with such a salary was truly precious to me. So I didn't want to lose it. But even more, I didn't want any relationship besides work with Humming. Hurrying downstairs, I saw Shen Hao waiting at the gate. Seeing his tall figure, I smoothed my hair, slowed my pace, and approached him. Have you been waiting long? Shen Hao blushed and smiled brightly when he saw me. Let's go, I'll treat you to Hopted. Shen Hao told me he had also found a job with a decent salary. It was tiring, often requiring overtime. He worked as an assistant to the general manager of a large company. His boss was extremely strict, scolding employees every day. Rumor had it that seeing the boss in the office was like seeing a ghost. Everyone was trembling with fear. Eating a shrimp ball, I looked at Shen Hao as he animatedly told stories from the office. Feeling joy welling inside as if ready to burst. It was so good that Shen Hao had found work. He wasn't defeated by misfortune or broken. Instead, he was serious, striving, brave in facing fate's shocks. Shen Hao was truly amazing. After eating, Shen Hao insisted on taking me for a stroll. He said, now that I'm working, I should buy better cosmetics and skincare products. I firmly refused. Good cosmetics are expensive. Even though my salary is higher now, I still have to save to buy a house for myself and my family. I can't waste money on such things. If you must gift me something, just a lipstick. The rest are unnecessary. Since graduating, fortune seemed to have firmly rooted in my home, continuously blessing me. Congratulations, miss, you're the our store's end customer. To thank our supporters, we present you with the skincare and makeup set. Please sign here. A store clerk enthusiastically handed me two excessively large boxes. I stared blankly at the tens of thousands yuan skincare gift in my hands, bewildered by life. I've never heard of a luxury brand giving away free gifts like this. Had I been away from the upper class too long to understand their marketing? Seeing me standing alone, Shen Hao took the bags for me and smiled, patting my head. Good job. Tom then Nala, you really are a lucky star. I looked at Shen Hao and smiled foolishly. Maybe my luck truly is coming. Shen Hao, you really are my lucky star. But after strolling around, we returned home. Shen Hao showered while I arranged things. Then went to the balcony to hang laundry. The old apartment complex had fixed balcony clotho signs, not like modern ones that could be raised or lowered. I searched everywhere for the pole to hang clothes but couldn't find it. Strange, it's always been on the balcony. With no choice, I dragged over a chair to reach the clothes. After taking down two items, I suddenly felt someone close behind me. Shen Hao directly wrapped his arms around my waist, looking serious. Tom Van Nola, what you're doing is dangerous. Let me take care of the laundry from now on. My hand still held the delicate white lace bra. Looking at Shen Hao's face so close, I felt my heart almost leap out of my chest. Put me down, I whispered, voice quieter than a sneeze. Shen Hao's body was firm and toned. One hand supported my leg, the other tightly held my arm. Summer heat, thin clothes, the warmth of his body transmitted through the fabric, surprisingly hot. Where his thigh and arm touched felt like burning marks. It was my first time being held like a princess. It was truly embarrassing. I clutched my things and hurried into the room, closing the door behind me. Leaning against it, I panted heavily. After my racing heart slowly calmed, I went into the bathroom. But the girl in the mirror was a complete stranger. Her face was flushed, even the corners of her eyes tinged with a faint pink. Her eyes sparkled, the corners of her lips formed an unconscious light smile. Her entire face was filled with shyness. Gentleness and sweetness. I had thought my feelings for Shen Hao were just gratitude, sympathy, understanding. Turns out it was liking. I took out my phone and messaged Dong Dong, my best friend and a relationship expert. She had dated 10 boyfriends. Aiming to complete all 12 zodiac signs. Dong Dong, if a man hugs you, your heart races, you're very nervous. Is that liking him? Is he handsome? She replied immediately. I'm thinking of Dana's face, handsome as a star, so it's normal. Who wouldn't be nervous hugging a handsome guy? You're just infatuated. I agreed with Dong Dong. Shen Hao was so handsome. Anyone hugged by him would be smitten. My parents were still waiting for me at the small apartment building, the usual meeting spot. I should just focus on earning money and not overthink. That night, I went to sleep blushing, dreaming indescribable dreams. They were so vivid I didn't dare face Shen Hao in the morning. I told Van Noa, wake up, spring has long passed. Rushing into her to introduce a new colleague to the marketing department, I looked up to see a beautiful girl with a sexy figure. Noticing my gaze, she winked at me. Tran Lin. In the break room, Tran Lin excitedly grabbed my hand. Amazing, Thanola. Who knew we'd work at the same company? How did you get in? This company is hard to enter. I had to use my boyfriend's connections. Tran Lin was as enthusiastic as ever. She said her boyfriend knew the chairman's son and helped her get hired. Hey, you have a boyfriend? Tran Lin twisted her diamond necklace arrogantly, her tone casual. Yeah, he's not that rich. Just has a few townhouses and some shops worth several billion. Pretty well off. I smiled at a girl like Tran Lin. She never let herself live hardships. After work, Shen Hao waited at the gate again. As I was about to walk toward him, Tran Lin also arrived. But seeing Shen Hao standing with me, Tran Lin's mouth dropped open in surprise. Tom Van Noha. You too. She looked at me, then at Shen Hao, then pulled me aside. You and Shen Hao are dating. She poked my head anxiously. Don't let your beauty cloud your judgment. Yeah, Shen Hao is handsome, but she looked Shen Hao up and down. Then looked at me with regret. Admitting to turning down such a handsome man is hard, but think about money, then Nola. In this city, a decent apartment costs 50 to 60,000 yuan per square meter. You can't get married and have kids in a rental apartment. Right, but I smiled helplessly and patted her hand. That's not true. Shen Hao's family is in trouble because he has no place to live. We're just sharing the apartment. Tran Lan took a deep breath and stared wide-eyed. A young man and woman living together. Passionate youth like fire near straw, it's bound to ignite. You're done, Tong Fan Noah. Soon enough, your virtue won't last. I glanced back to see Shen Hao growing impatient and frowned. Tran Lan, I'm leaving. We can talk at work tomorrow. I ran up to Shen Hao and looked into his eyes. His furrowed brow suddenly softened, distant. Why did you come here? Go grocery shopping. Whatever you like to eat, I'll cook. Shen Hao smiled at me, his dark eyes sparkling under the sunset. I like whatever you do. His warm, slightly teasing voice made my face flush and heart race. At the market, we stopped at a vegetable stall. The seller, a woman about 30, enthusiastically greeted us. You're such a perfect young couple. What are you buying? I'll give you a discount. My face burned. I hurriedly waved my hand. We're not a couple, just friends. At that moment, an elderly woman pushing a cart piled high with seafood nearly bumped into me. Shen Hao quickly pulled me in. One arm around my waist, the other shielding my back. Our eyes met, both our faces flushed. Oh my, so sweet. Just their looks alone made everyone think we were lovers. Did get married. We quickly separated. I was so flustered I didn't know what to do with my hands or feet. That night, Shen Hao and I ate quietly, both silent. I picked up a piece of tomato and scrambled eggs into my bowl, glancing at Shen Hao only to catch his gaze on me. I panicked, looking down and choking from nervousness. Shen Hao hurried over, patting my back and handing me a glass of water. Tom Van Nala, are you okay? I coughed to tears and drank a few sips. Just as I was about to say I'm fine, I realized Shen Hao was standing very close. He was taller than me, now bent low, worry in his eyes. One hand still on my back, his palm hot. His breath brushed my face, carrying a faint scent like pine in cold, fresh winter air. How can someone's breath be that comforting? I unconsciously leaned in and took a gentle breath. Shen Hao seemed surprised. He froze, his long lashes casting shadows on his face. I gazed into his deep eyes, then at his high nose, sharp lips, and defined chin. My eyes landed on his Adam's apple, which moved slightly. Shen Hao swallowed heavily. A phone rang abruptly, shattering the tense moment. We both turned around, breathing heavily, looking at the phone. It was Tran Lan calling me. Go answer it, I said, clutching my pounding heart as I rushed into the room. Hello, Tran Lan. I opened my mouth but was surprised by my own voice, hoarse, soft, sweet enough to intoxicate. Oh my, are you two making out? I cleared my throat. We just had dinner. What nonsense are you talking about? Tell me honestly, Tong Fan Nana. Do you like Chanel? Like Chanel? I placed my hand on my chest. Something inside was boiling, twisting and trying to break free. Why, I wasn't sure. At first, I felt pity for him. Later, I admired him, respected him. Sometimes, I found him adorable. Was that liking? A Tranlan's clear voice ran through the phone. That doesn't count as liking. Liking isn't scary. What's scary is when a woman begins to empathize deeply with a man. You love Shenhao now. Don't that know, huh? You're done for. You've fallen into the love trap. I wandered out of the room dazed, sat down, and kept eating. Shenhao wasn't home. He seemed to have gone out on business. I ate mechanically and tidied the kitchen while Tranlan's words echoed. You've fallen into the love trap. At that moment, Shenhao messaged me. My family has some business. I won't be home tonight. Please lock the door carefully. No need to wait for me. I closed the door absent-mindedly. Worries gnawed at me. Wondering what was happening in Shenhao's home. The next morning, with dark circles under my eyes, I went to work and was told to go on a week-long business trip to the northeast. Everyone go home and pack. The flight is at 11 a.m. Hurry. I hurried home to pack and then rode the car with Tranlang to the airport. Marketing in the Northeast had a major crisis. Many sales branches were accused of serious product quality issues. Humming led me, Tranlang, and a male colleague to handle it. On the way to the airport, I worried about the company's situation and felt hollow thinking about the severe product quality issues. Thinking that I wouldn't see Shenhao for a week, I texted him, Shenhao, there's an emergency at work. I'm on a week-long business trip to the Northeast. Is your place okay this noon? After an hour in the car, I checked my phone hundreds of times, but it was silent, no calls or messages. Exhausted, I followed Humming and others to board the plane when suddenly a hurried male voice called out. Don't that know? I turned at the voice and saw Shenhao running towards me. His fair, delicate face was flushed from running, short hair, damp sweat beads visible on his eyes and brows. But when he reached me, he sighed with relief. His bright face broke into a dazzling smile as if holding a whole galaxy. I froze, stunned at Shenhao. Shouldn't you be working? Why are you rushing to the airport? Shenhao looked at me gently, an indescribable softness in his eyes. I just wanted to see you off. Oh, at that moment, Haman urged, don't hesitate, let's board. Tranlan, exchanging glances with him, stepped up and pulled me. Come on, hurry or we'll miss the flight. I was pulled away by Tranlan. Each step, I glanced back at Shenhao. Take care, Shenhao. Tranlan glanced back at him, muttering, if strangers didn't know, they'd think this was a deadly farewell scene. Titanic should have invited the two of you to star Jeff and Jose. Seeing this, it's embarrassing. Tom Nola, you're an irresistible beauty. Shenhao is amazing. No wonder you know this is a fire pit but still jumped in. Can't help you. If he'd looked at me with those eyes once, I'd probably already have kids. Run by some soy sauce now. Pit on the plane, Tranlang sat next to me. She tossed about like she was on a skillet, mumbling, no admiration, no admiration. Money's still better than crying on a dirt bike, better than laughing on a bicycle. Especially since later you have to raise a handsome kid. You can't just change milk and diapers. But life's only once. You can't take money when you live or when you die. If you lived your life with a man this handsome, thinking about it makes me want an extra bowl of rice. But I looked at her, amused and helpless. Maybe she treated my story like a movie and she played the lead better than me. But as we were fastening seatbelts, Hanman came and swapped seats with Tranlan. The space, already cramped, felt suffocating. I closed my eyes, pretending to sleep. Hanman's deep voice whispered beside me, Boyfriend, I heard your family went bankrupt. Don't that know that? How many years and you still breathe like this? Hanman, this is my personal business. It's none of your concern. I'm an assistant. It's hard to support myself on 7 or 8,000 yuan. Am I supposed to support a man too? I turned my head without replying, but suspicion filled my mind. My 7 or 8,000 yuan salary was clearly 25,000. Why was Hanman saying otherwise? Summer in the Northeast wasn't as hot as the South, but my mind was torn in two, half focused on work, half already with Shenhao. Hanman's gaze grew increasingly displeased. After he reprimanded me once, I resolved to dismiss all other thoughts and focus solely on work. And after several days of non-stop work, the problem was finally resolved. Humming took the group out for a celebratory dinner. Everyone had a few drinks. Humming said he wanted to speak with me privately and led me to the park across from the hotel. Then Nola, I know your situation. It must be tiring struggling alone. Under his glasses, Humming's eyes sparkled with suspicion and determination. But I've only felt inexplicably uneasy. But Humming, what exactly do you want to say? Humming's eyes darkened. Then Nola, shortly after your family had troubles, mine also went bankrupt. Immediately after graduating, I wanted to find you, but I was still struggling myself. By the time I stood back up, it was too late and we lost contact. Now meeting you again, I realized I never forgot you. Then Nola, I can give you a better life. Buy you a house in the city. You wouldn't even have to work anymore. I looked up at that familiar yet distant face. The old feelings of youth have long floated away with time. But now in my heart there was only Shenhao. But I already have a boyfriend, and I love him very much, hon. I wasn't feeling well and asked to leave early. Turning, I walked away. Humming's unwilling voice ran behind me. Told that Nola. You'll regret this. I'll wait for the day you come back begging me. The next morning, weary from the flight, at the arrivals hall, I saw a stylishly dressed woman. She wore a red dress, her black wavy hair shone in the sunlight, her delicate face meticulously made up. Quite captivating. At seeing me in Tran Lane, her gaze darkened, looking especially surprised as she stared at me. So this is your trusted assistant? Did you really run into each other, or are you just bringing them to the party? Come on, consider it a reward for your staff. Seeing Homin's embarrassed expression, I was stunned. Turns out he was married. Haha, I thought he wanted to pursue me, but he just wanted to keep me as a mistress. Truly disgusting. Tran Lan glared at him. Boss Han, I won't bother you two. The company chairman is my uncle. Here, my words are worth more than yours, Han. The proud woman raised her eyebrows, eyeing me and Tran Lan challengingly. Hey, oh Sister Han, then we'll gladly accept no refusal. Watching Tran Lan change attitude faster than changing clothes. I silently admired her. Oh, I'm Shen Manli. She tossed her chin arrogantly, linked arms with Han Ming, then called back. We're following you. Tonight, I'll open your eyes. In a taxi, Tran Lan and I followed Han Ming and Shen Manli. I thought Han Ming was a young, talented man. Turns out all about projects and connections. Jan clearly wanted to show us who was boss. But we know the gap between us, just back off. Being mistaken for beauty is hard, Tran Lan said, reapplying makeup while ranting to me. I wasn't paying attention, checking my phone and saw a message from Shenhao. Sorry I couldn't pick you up at the airport. Work's a bit hectic tonight, I'll be late. Wait at home, I have a gift for you. Was he going to confess tonight? If he didn't, I'd confess first. I placed the phone on my chest, feeling love swell inside like a tidal wave. Aunt Tran Lan saw my goofy face and teased, Anola, have you thought it through? Hell, though handsome with your combined salaries, buying a house and car will be a lifetime struggle. Luxury villas and designer goods won't be part of your life. I don't need those things. If you both work hard together, life won't be too bad. Love with clear eyes. She poked my forehead with a long finger. Her eyes shimmered with jealousy and worry. Chen Manli's old mansion was in a villa district, decorated like a palace. After boasting and showing us around, she asked the maid to take us to the parlor to change. The evening gowns are ready. Looking at the luxurious parlor, Tran Lan's eyes reddened with envy. Oh my, Ming really married into money. Her gaze was sharp. I recall Ming's words last night. So he intended to use his wife's wealth to support his mistress. How despicable. At that moment, Jan brought me to her private room and said she wanted to talk. You're Ming's first love, right? Seeing her unfriendly face, I was suspicious. Don't pretend. I've seen your high school photos at Ming's house. He keeps them carefully. Miss Jan, whether you believe it or not, we were just neighbors when I moved. We lost contact. Nothing before, nothing after. I looked sharply into her eyes. Speaking clearly, she sneered contemptuously. I heard your family went bankrupt. Now you're just an assistant. Between you and me, one is above the sky, the other beneath the earth, completely different. But nowadays, young girls, especially from poor families, are full of ambition and lust. Her eyes flickered with jealousy. After today, I don't want to see you at the company anymore. Only then did I understand why Tran Lang tried so hard to climb up. The poor's efforts were like balloons, bright and dreamy. But once I touched, I didn't want to see her at the company anymore. At that moment, I began to realize why Tran Lang worked to rise. The efforts of the poor are like balloons, beautiful and dreamy, but as soon as a wealthy person touches them lightly, they burst. I sighed and looked at Shan Manli. Miss Shan, may I leave now? No, you must stay for tonight's party. Tonight I will show you what wealth's charm is. If fortune favors your beauty, you might catch someone's eye and become a canary. Then the phoenix might rise and illuminate the sky. She laughed fake as she spoke. I couldn't bear it and turned toward the door. If you do leave now, bring Tran Lang to resign tomorrow. Her voice was light but carried undeniable authority. Recalling how much Tran Lang struggled to get into this company, she clenched my hand tightly, then loosened it. I'll change. I'll submit my resignation tomorrow, just as you wish. In the parlor, Tran Lang was happily picking an evening gown. She showed me 2 dresses. Which do you prefer, white or black? Black's sexy, white's elegant, or we can try both. Seeing Tran Lang so excited, I couldn't help but ask, aren't you uncomfortable? She obviously has bad intentions bringing us here. What's there to be uncomfortable about? She likes showing off well, so let her. Tonight's food will be fancy. I want a good meal. We probably got to attend free for tens of thousands of yuan. What's to be unhappy about? But by then Tran Lan had changed into the black dress. Her slim waist, ample bust, and seductive curves. She spun before the mirror and marveled, oh my, truly a stunning beauty. I couldn't help but laugh. The evening party took place in an upscale club in a famous scenic spot, full of hidden beauty amid the city's kindness. Upon entering, Tran Lan's eyes went wide as she grabbed my hand repeatedly. Oh my, so many handsome men. No, millionaires. Oh no, why did I find a boyfriend too early? Standing beside Man Li. She was proud. There are no millionaires tonight. Those in rebellion aren't qualified. You're my escort, so stick close and don't embarrass me. But she held her head high, glanced at us, and walked away with a sway. But the dazzling, luxurious lights made me feel I belong nowhere here. This world belongs to them. I have nothing. People say all roads lead to Rome, but some are born in Rome itself. What ordinary people spend a lifetime chasing is theirs from birth. This world was not for me. Thinking of my job, my heart sank. Han Hao recommended this work. If I quit, how would I explain to him? When, in the end, it was all a fleeting illusion. Hello, miss. I've noticed you since earlier. Beautiful young lady, may I have your WeChat? Beside me was a young man in a suit, barely over 30, slim with delicate features but dark circles under his eyes, looking unhealthy. After politely refusing, he still forced a business card into my hand before leaving. Man Li stepped forward. That was the eldest son of the Shan family, related to the Shan group. Just a scrap of their wealth could keep you alive forever. You really don't know how to pick people. And also a Shan, the Shan group. Tran Lan leaned in to eavesdrop. No wonder we haven't heard of it. They're very secretive with many companies, but the head always stays hidden. That's true aristocracy. Everyone's assets here combined don't even get their attention. No one knows how much they own. Tran Lan gasped. Oh, just like the tekkus in Korean dramas. Man Li must have nodded proudly. Tonight, the second son of the Shan family will arrive. You're lucky to witness someone favored by heaven. A loud noise at the main door. A group dressed in black surrounded a young man who entered with dignity. The Shan family's second son has arrived. Man Li's excited voice rang out. Tran Lan and I looked intensely over. Before us was a young man in a black suit. Tall and straight, sharp features, piercing eyes. He walked with indifferent posture, radiating an arrogant aura. I had never seen Shen Hao so dazzling. He stood there, wearing his usual cold, slightly impatient expression. Aureoles of light radiated from him. Too handsome to look away. The crowd moved closer. He calmly said, I have devices malfunctioning and do not take essential work, but while I have devices withdrawing payment at the same time but do not. This sentence was unclear in the original. I've preserved it verbatim. His eyes held admiration, fear, and flattery. Next to me, Tran Lan let out a piercing scream. Her high-pitched shout made everyone turn. I quietly watched Shen Hao. His light resembled a rising sun, blazing and sparkling. Between us, a sea of people felt like an entire galaxy barrier. Oh, that was an abyss I could never cross, a gap forever out of reach. Like, Shen Hao's expression changed instantly. His cold face suddenly showed embarrassment and worry. I stepped back, then turned and ran. Told that Naga's long legs were swiftly caught by Shen Hao within a few strides. He grabbed my arm and pulled me into his arms, then held me tightly by the shoulders, urgently explaining. Then Nala, please listen to me. People around gradually realized and began murmuring. The noise filled the room as if wanting to tear the roof open. Tran Lan and Shan Manli stood frozen, wide-eyed, mouths agape, surprised beyond keeping composed. I looked up at Shen Hao. My eyes were red and heart heavy. The rent was just 21,000 a month. The salary was 250,000. It was unreal. Even the price makeup made no sense. Like, everything suddenly found reasonable explanation. Before Shen Hao finished, tears streamed down my face. Bitter and painful, mostly angry but also regretful and soothed. I was angry at being deceived by Shen Hao, comforted that Shen Hao's family wasn't bankrupt and he still had a bright future. Regretful that all the beauty we had was just a brief dream between us with no future. But Shen Hao's face was worried and pleading. Then Nala, don't go, please listen. I lifted my face, tears flooding, silently scolding. My words were resolute. Shen Hao let go. His eyes also were red. After lingering a long time, he released me, pushed me away, and headed toward the main door. People whispered but stepped aside from me. My heart ached harshly. My love was lost before it could be possessed. I only held my moonlight for a brief moment. Now he had returned to his starry sky. My tears finally overflowed. Large droplets spilled out, but the silence broke with noise. Before I could react, I was pulled into warm arms. Shen Hao lifted my face and kissed me passionately as if a desert traveler finally finding refreshing water. The kiss was intense and fiery, filled with irresistible determination and overwhelming desire. They took me. I trembled in his embrace. My silent heart now beat wildly. Love that didn't have a known beginning but was deep, couldn't be stopped. Longing is something you can ignore if untouched, but once felt, it floods uncontrollably. I wrapped my arms around Shen Hao's neck, pressing close to him. At this moment, all reason and plans vanished. I only wanted to kiss the person I loved. Surrounding gasps of shock came non-stop. A shattering noise sounded. Someone dropped a glass, pulling Shen Hao and me out of our trance. Some covered object nearby made me blush. Never thought my first kiss would have so many witnesses. Shen Hao bent down, lifted me, kissed my forehead lightly, then hurried out of the hall. I buried my face in his chest. A glance caught Tran Lan laughing excitedly. As Shen Hao helped me into the car, he bent close. Then Nala, I miss you so much. His broken words quickly drowned in kisses. We'd almost kissed the whole way home. After closing the door, Shen Hao turned around. His gaze reminded me of a hungry wolf on the prairie. Looking at the man before me, love surged inside. Unable to hold back, I stood on tiptoes and kissed him. I woke at midnight. Sitting up, I looked at Shen Hao's peaceful sleeping face. Long lashes faced gentler when eyes closed. I gently touched his face, heart aching so much it made me cry. We ultimately were not from the same world. Movies and novels all rise from reality. And so, rather than becoming burdens to each other, we might as well forget one another in life's flow. At least we can keep sweet, beautiful memories. So when he remembers me, it won't only be disdain. Silently, I left the dressing room, tossed threw the keys on the dining table, quietly closed the door, and left. The house belonged to Shen Hao, the job arranged by him. Just as when I arrived, I left the city empty-handed, or I returned to my hometown. Days passed simply and peacefully. Work was not far from home. Each day after work, I ate meals cooked by my parents. We talked about daily events and shared trivial stories. Life was poor but full of happiness. I blocked Shen Hao's phone number and we chat. At first, he repeatedly called from Tran Lan's phone. But after a few refusals, he stopped. Tran Lan said that our sudden departure caused chaos, a huge storm in Shen Hao's family. He faced enormous pressure from them. Maybe that's why he gave up looking for me. That was for the best. Raindrops return to raindrops, paths come back to paths. But I miss Shanhao dearly, madly missing. If nostalgia had a sound, it would be an earth-shaking echo. Wait, I buried myself in work, flooding the emptiness inside. Busy for 2 months. Suddenly, I received a wedding invitation from the university class president. Hey, then Nona, you must come. I've heard about you and Shenhao. Wow, never thought Shenhao's family was that formidable. Don't worry, he's definitely a young master unlike us. Tran Lan eagerly invited me, said it had been a long time since our last reunion. My parents noticed my gloomy mood and encouraged me to go out for some fun. But after thinking it over, I decided meeting old friends wouldn't be a bad idea. I looked out at the vast flower field before me. The dreamy scenery stopped me in my tracks. Tran Lan, did our class president win the lottery? How many billion? I'm not jealous, seriously. Tran Lan widened her eyes, covering her mouth. Her gaze was filled with admiration. Oh my, this flower field alone must be worth trillions. Really extravagant. Hey, not knowing what to do, she suddenly giggled like a fool. Someone's so jealous they'll go mad. The class president cheerfully ran over and said, "Rest up tonight, the bridesmaid team is missing one. Tomorrow, count on me to be a bridesmaid." Tran Lin and I wandered through the sea of flowers, admiring their bright colors. The fragrance intoxicated, tinged with sadness. Did the class president sell everything to organize this wedding? I remember he was just middle class. True love, huh? Tran Lan nodded in agreement. This is definitely every girl's dream wedding. How will I ever get married like this now? So annoying. That night, everyone gathered for food and drinks. Somehow, the topic turned to Shenhao. I had always felt Shenhao. His aura and appearance were truly extraordinary. His family was truly aristocratic. Rumors said his family wanted him to study at an overseas prestigious university, but he insisted on staying in the country. He didn't need a diploma to beautify himself. He was a shining mountain of gold by himself. Those who once knew now changed their tunes. In the end, he and we belonged to different worlds. Early morning, Tran Lan woke me, half asleep, watching a crowd rush into the room. Hurry, put on makeup or you'll be late. Someone pushed me down in the chair for makeup. Behind me, someone busied over my hair. I was dumbfounded, not understanding. Hey, you got the wrong person. I'm a bridesmaid. No mistake, bridesmaids must be dazzling. The bride insisted the bridesmaids be made up like princesses. A tall order, but on the wedding day, the bride was the boss. So I closed my eyes and let them do as they pleased, wishing I could go back to bed. Finally, I could change clothes. Looking in the mirror, I was stunned. The reflection was dazzling enough to make me faint. I felt like I was dreaming. Was this makeup really okay? Too overpowering for the bride, maybe? But it was the class president's wedding. The makeup artist pulled back the curtain. Before me was a classic off-shoulder wedding gown, set with countless sparkling jewels. Under the lights, it shone so brightly it was impossible to look away. Every girl was captivated, unable to regain composure. Hurry and change, or you'll be late. The makeup artist, the first to awaken, grabbed my hand urgently. Are you kidding? Is this a bridesmaid dress? Such a grand bridesmaid dress. Oh my, the bridesmaid's dresses are even more elaborate than the bride's. Today's theme is princess. The bride wants to be queen. And suddenly, several girls gathered to help me change. After dressing, I stared blankly. This was the image I dreamed of when wearing a wedding dress. More beautiful than I imagined. I had soft curls, skin pure as snow, red glossy lips, and a floor-length gown. At that moment, I looked like a real princess surrounded by admirers. I walked to the altar. Tran Lin handed me a bridal bouquet and pushed me onto the raised platform. Music played, petals rained from the sky. I looked around, bewildered, not knowing what was happening. Ahead stood Shenhao, as red but with a radiant, happy smile. Step by step, he slowly but firmly approached me. Then he knelt on one knee. Tong Fan Nana, will you marry me? Cheers rang out. Say yes, say yes. I looked around and recognized many familiar faces, even my parents. Turns out the ceremony attended was my own wedding. Tears welled up. I looked at Shenhao, smiled, and nodded. I do. Aside from Shenhao, the first time I noticed Tong Thanala was at a restaurant. She seemed to be working part-time there. She wore a pale pink chintz, standing by the restaurant's door, petite and charming like a blooming rose in a cold winter. That day was very cold. Her face flushed from the chill, her hair tied high, blowing in the wind. I suddenly understood the fragility that girls in the class had described. Winter in the heart roused a bit of unwillingness. At school. She was always plain, no makeup. It was my first time seeing her dressed up and honestly quite captivating. I sat in my warm room, uneasy. My mind was occupied by Tong Than Nala's pale face. So I got a hot water bag from the front desk for her. When she looked at me, her eyes glistened with surprise and gratitude. That look seemed to hook me in, making departure impossible. Tong Than Nala was indeed interesting. Returning to school, I noticed she was always busy with part-time jobs. She never seemed to finish them all. She was a girl with hardships but incredibly diligent, completely unlike other girls at school who only spent money and thought about love. Rumors spread that my family went bankrupt. People said my father's company was discovered by a classmate's father to be hiring accountants to fake bankruptcy. Many came to me for confirmation. I didn't deny it was a subsidiary under my older brother's name. It wasn't doing well, so he planned to list the main company overseas, restructuring some unprofitable subsidiaries. Then things got amusing. Many who'd once been around me started avoiding me, no longer holding back. Instead, they mocked me with sharp words, especially the schoolboys. No one sent me love letters anymore. That made life hard, to avoid trouble. But also causing some issues. Girls came demanding gifts back, claiming I owed them, even though I'd never accepted gifts. That annoyed me greatly. Somehow, after driving a girl off asking for gifts, I met Tong Van Nova. She rushed up and asked, "Is she asking for gifts too? Did she give you gifts before?" I didn't quite remember. Tong Van Nova gave me a bank card. For the first time, a girl wanted to give me money to spend. 20,000 yuan was just the price of one outfit to me. But for her, it was all her savings over 4 years. Surprisingly, her determination shocked me so much I forgot to refuse. Then Nola embracing me, her small frame pressed against me. I could even feel her softness. Unexpectedly, such a pale girl was quite well endowed. What nonsense was I thinking? I couldn't hear her words clearly, only that she smelled so sweet. A scent like a honeyed island. Her embrace overwhelmed my mind. I couldn't think. Finally, she released me, stroked my head, and smiled. When she smiled, I felt the whole world darken. Only she shone like a dazzling fireworks burst. Could I marry a man like this? I suspected she was trying to seduce me. But I had no proof. The next day, Tong Van Ola vanished like vapor. No messages, no calls. I checked her social media. She seemed busy job hunting and looking for a place to live. Why didn't she find me? Were home and job more important than me? It turns out Tong Van Nana wasn't playing hard to get as I thought. I practically glued my eyes to my phone screen, but she still didn't message or call. I started losing focus every day. Chuang Dong quickly noticed. He asked, "Are you in love?" Come on, serious? Who'd be thinking about love? I'm just a bit worried about a classmate. Has Tong Van Noa found a job? I told Chuang Dong about her, and he immediately yelled, "Definitely likes her." He says he's experiencing first love. No way. Chuang Dong sent me an article. The article's title, "Female Student Living Alone Stalked by Delivery Man, Tragedy in Rented Apartment. Is Society Really This Dangerous?" Thinking of Tong Van Noa's beautiful face, I grew more worried. Chuan Dong sent another article. Female employee harassed by superior, then fired. I immediately called Chuan Dong. Find her a position at your company. Salary no less than 100 a month. And Chuan Dong scolded me. That's too blatant. She'll find out for sure. And in the end, the salary was fixed at 25,000. That was the lowest I could accept. No less. Anything less. I dare not imagine how Tong Van Noa will live. After securing her the job, I immediately bought an apartment near the company. But Chun Jong, how can Tong Van Noa live with someone else? That looks really dangerous. Tong Van Noa had accepted the job at Chun Dong's company. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I couldn't resist visiting Chun Dong's company to meet her. Waiting below the building, I found my heart beating unbelievably fast. My palms were sweaty. I felt unwell. Oh, when I saw Tom Van Nala run up to me brightly smiling, I finally confirmed I liked Tom Van Nala. Tom Dillon was indeed an idiot. He arranged a boss who was Tom Van Nala's former high school neighbor. That guy wore gold-rimmed glasses, looking like a seemingly genteel man but full of schemes. The old saying goes, close to officials, fortune follows. So I schemed to find an excuse about no place to live to move in with Tom Van Nala. Tom Van Nala was a kind-hearted girl. Surely she invited me to live with her. A trusting girl like that, I had to protect her well, so no man could ever deceive her completely.